A very good evening and welcome to Weekend Dialogue on Biz Roundup. Tonight on the show we have with us the Chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Dr. Nalaka Godahewa, joining us to talk about the progress of the stock market. Welcome to the show. Well, Dr. Godahewa, let's start talking about the stock market itself, the progress of it. What have you got to say about the progress of the CAC since you took over?
Actually, if you're talking about the overall securities market, the stock market is also probably 90% of it at the moment, is comparatively quite small in the region. So, and it contributes only about 30% of the GDP. Again, compared to regional benchmarks, it is quite low. So, we started by setting certain benchmarks and targets, basically wanting to take the securities market contribution to about 50% of GDP within the next 3 years. To achieve that, we launched a series of initiatives, and when I reflect last 12 months since I took over, I think we are quite happy with the progress we have made, because most of these projects we have been able to accomplish more than 50% of what we wanted already, and that is reflected in the numbers itself. For example, all share price index, which was hovering around 4,500 when I took over, is now around 6,000. The last 12 months it has grown 30%. And S&P index, which normally takes into account the top 20 companies, has grown this year by 11.1%, which is a significant growth, which clearly shows that people are moving into fundamentally strong stocks. So overall, I think it's quite a satisfactory progress so far.
Right. You did also mention that a lot of activities carried out, and of course you all did carry out several promotional activities overseas to attract foreign investors. How has it been? Has it been successful so far? And if it was, tell us in figures too.
We identified that if our market to grow, we have to bring foreign direct investment. I mean, there are many ways in which country can bring foreign direct investment, like through our BOI, etc. But capital market is also a very important area where we can focus on. That is why we started a series of road shows, where we have already done 2 this year, one in Mumbai and one in Dubai. We have planned another one in Hong Kong in 1 month's time, followed by Singapore, and then going on to Australia, US, etc. the next year. So from what we have done so far, we are already seeing the results. Now, if you look at the foreign direct inflow into our market this year, it is already 16 billion. The contribution of foreign funds in the market currently is about 38%, which was only about 23% last year. So it is growing. Actually, they are compensating for the retail investors to expedite the market growth.
Right. If we also talk about people, they're still a little afraid to invest in the Colombo Stock Exchange. While they show more interest in the banking area, although it has lower returns. What have you got to say? I mean, what plans do you all have to attract the retail investors back to this market?
Retail investors about 2 years ago had certain bad experiences, which is holding them coming back. Even though the market is doing well, the market is secure, regulation is robust. They take time to come back, and also on the other hand, the banking interests are also good. Even though it is lower than what they can get from the stock market, they are coming slowly, which is perfectly all right. What we are doing is we are increasing the level of awareness, financial literacy amongst our retail investors, so that they are knowledgeable when they come and invest in the market. Another area we are focusing very heavily at the moment is promoting unit trust, which we believe is the ideal vehicle for a retail investor to get the first experience. Once you come with an expert fund manager of a unit trust company, once you get exposure, once you understand, then you can start working on your own. So that's one area we are promoting at the moment.
Right. You've also been talking about amending the existing SEC Act. How soon would that happen?
SEC Act amendments is now actually, as far as our work is concerned, already done. It's finished, approved by the Commission, and that has been now sent to the Finance Ministry to submit to the Cabinet. The process is now the Cabinet has to approve the amendments. It will go to the legal draftman, and legal draftman probably will take about, let's say, 3 to 6 months, and by end of the year, early next year, definitely it should come to the Parliament.
Right. You've also been talking about your plans. How important is the corporate debt market in your plans, and what is the progress so far in that area?
Actually, corporate debt market is very important in our plan. If you again look at the region or the world, generally in any market, capital market, debt market is bigger than equity market. But in our country, it is completely opposite. In our case, equity is 98%, corporate debt is only 2%. So that means there's enormous amount of opportunity for that to grow. So we started working in a very focused manner on this, starting with giving certain budget concessions at the last 2013 budget proposals for promoting debt market, and also bringing up policy metrics, doing a lot of things to encourage secondary market activities, etc. With all this strategic input to develop the corporate debt market, we have noticed that it has taken off. For example, this year already 10 listed debentures have been issued, raising 24 billion rupees from corporate debt alone. Now, if you go back 2011, all IPOs, it was a year where the highest number of IPOs came to the market, but all these IPOs raised only 19 billion. But this year, corporate debt 10 issues alone have raised 24 billion already. Right. Only half a year is completed. So I think that's one area we have focused on, and we see very good results already.
Okay, so how do you plan to?
We would like to take it to about 10 billion by 2016. Right. When we hope to reach 50% of GDP as our intended target by 2016, we expect corporate debt market to reach about 10 billion US dollars.
Okay. And also, Dr. Godahewa, I would like to ask you what actually prevents us from introducing more sophisticated products like derivatives, as you did mention right now. Like, what other challenges do we have here?
Actually, that's something that we like the listeners to understand. So if you look at our securities market, as I mentioned earlier, comparatively quite small. It's in US dollar terms, it is only 20 billion, whereas our closest counterpart would be Thailand, which is 450 billion US dollars. India is about 1.5 trillion, right? Why are they big? That is because they have a huge product range. As you mentioned, derivatives, options, futures, so many different products. In our case, we are not yet ready from an infrastructure and systems point of view to introduce these products. For example, one of the primary requirements to introduce such sophisticated products is a central counterparty system, a clearing corporation. We don't have it. So we are currently working with Central Bank and Colombo Stock Exchange to put in place a CCP, or a central counterparty system, which will probably take 1 to 1.5 years for us to complete. Once it is done, we can bring in all these sophisticated products, and once those sophisticated products come into the market will just take off.
And finally, I would like to ask you, what other plans do you think you have in place to maybe tighten the regulatory environment for this?
Actually, our regulatory system is quite robust already, as I mentioned. But because we have not changed it for the last 25 years, there are certain things that the other regional counterparts have done in terms of making it more active, more flexible, more efficient. We have missed out. So that is why we are bringing this SEC new Act amendments, and that will be in place, as I mentioned, within the next 6 months to 9 months. It will be in place. So then that is there. Then I mentioned about these project initiatives. That's a kind of 3 to 4 year plan, but that cannot be the end. We need to have at least 10-year plan. Malaysia, for example, has a 20-year plan for capital market development. So we must have continuous, let's say, 3-year plans, one after another, with a long-term vision. That is where we are heading. So at the moment, we are looking at short-term and medium term, and from there we have to have a long-term strategy to make capital market a key contributor to the economic development.
Right. Well, on that note, it's time we wrap up. But thank you very much, Dr. Godahewa, for joining us on the program.
Thank you.
We had with us the Chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Dr. Nalaka Godahewa, joining us on Weekend Dialogue. Join us after this break. We have more on Biz Roundup.